Right. I'm ill, so I'm gonna sound very raspy. I'm gonna try and mute myself every time that I'm about to cough or splutter. Um, but I'm bound to miss some of those if I'm deep in concentration drawing. So I will rely on your good nature and politeness and forgiveness. Um, Please let me know as soon as possible. Like that. Just let me know if the audio is alright, if I'm loud enough, or maybe the music might be too loud. Any of that stuff, just let me know, and I can mess around with it. But today I'm going to be designing. I'm going to be designing until 2 a.m. So this is going to be an 8-hour stream because that is how long I plan on staying up till. And I'm gonna try and force myself to draw the whole time, or think about drawing the whole time. This is quite nice because for once maybe the British people or the Europeans in my audience get to watch me because it's not like really early. I don't know how this is gonna work out for the Americans, but 8 hours is a long time, so I'm sure I'll catch people on either end. Okay, so let me outline for you the project, my two viewers, because it's something that I've sort of had in my head for a while. So, the idea is that we have our planet, and on our planet there's like loads of ocean, loads of water. And the planet, rather than having one central star, has like lots of stars, and they come in and out of the atmosphere periodically. Someone might describe them as being dropped into the atmosphere like food into a fish tank. So they're sort of sprinkled in here and there, little stars. And so the people on the planet, this is a person, they've got limited daylight to work with because there isn't a day-night cycle. It's just dark all the time until a star appears, at which point they have light until it disappears. So it's like these, I guess, more local sources of light and heat that float in the atmosphere. Now, the problem with this is every time a couple of these stars appear, it's only a matter of time before one of these things comes and eats the star. They consume the stars. They're sort of seen as celestial beings, almost deities, these little human guys, they kind of worship them. Because when they eat the star, it all gets churned up in their bellies, God knows what happens. And then they come down here and they vomit all of the star juice, ambergris, I guess, back into the ocean, where all the other fishies go nom 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 nom, and they enjoy that as a nice source of sustenance and food. So the sort of circle of life, if you want, on this planet revolves around the idea that there are stars, these things eat them, and as a byproduct pass on their nutrients into the rest of the ocean. Now, the good people of this place have figured this out, so whenever they see one of these big things eat a star, they know that they can hop aboard their ship and they can follow it to where the fish are going to be, and then they can fish. So they'll throw out nets and whatever else. Right? So that's part A. So I'm going to make this into a YouTube video, so part of this giant mega stream is me thinking and collecting my thoughts. So part A is the natural cycle of the planet, right? But then one day, evil, nasty human goes, I've had enough of it being dark. Why are these giant creatures swallowing all the stars? I want to keep the lights on. It's really useful to have light. So we want to prevent this thing from eating this thing. And so they're going to use something like guns. Not thought about what they're going to be yet. They're going to use something like guns to take out one of these things. So they're sort of playing God with the natural cycle of the world. Now obviously, you can see where this is going. These things are the only thing keeping all the fish alive and sustaining them. So unforeseen, unforetold consequences are going to occur once this happens. But we've not gotten there yet. We're nowhere near getting there. But that's the vague outline. You might be able to tell from this, if you haven't already realized, I'm a huge fan of Princess Mononoke. It's my favorite Ghibli film. And very similar themes. Something, a force of nature that is almost mythical or celestial, or is revered as such, and then silly little people thinking that they know better and interfering. So loads of world building to do, lots of designing to get on with. Now I have done a little bit because I want to make a YouTube video about this, but the little bit that I've done, we'll keep this explanation in case anyone else joins. The little bit that I have done, it doesn't go particularly deep. All I'm thinking about at the moment is maybe what these big floating creatures are going to look like, and I haven't given myself many parameters for that. So I'll show you what I've done so far. First thing I did was a series of little sort of photo bashy things. I don't really tend to use photo bashing very much, which is where you start compiling and crushing all these different images together to make something new. So a good example of that is a lot of the sort of skin on this one is from the back end of an iguana. I think that's like the head of a bearded dragon in its leg. This vent stuff is like the baleen from a baleen whale, which is really cool. I think the top of this is like the head of a beetle, and then you can see some wings in there from something else. So just smashing everything together, but trying to come up with some interesting visuals. Now I know that I want it to be a reasonably emotive creature. So something with eyes and hands, or paws, or something it can maybe grab stuff with and interact with the world with would be interesting. I really, as fun as this is, I want to stay away from something like this. I think it's a little bit too close to a whale. And yeah, they are effectively like sky whales. I don't want them to look like sky whales. So I want them to feel like whales. I want them to feel like these big friendly giants floating through the sky. They're just on a plane of their own. They're not bothered or interested in anything that's around them. But visually, I really want to make them distinct. Because I've seen so many concepts that's like, oh, it's clouds and there's a whale, and it's like, okay, that's nice, but I don't think it's as challenging. So something like this is probably out, right? I think that's maybe too alien. It's not emotive enough. You wouldn't be able to relate to it as a viewer. And something like these three are more along the lines of what I want. So I took them and I made another page of sketches, and we've got everything from like these little space babies that crawl through the sky. I thought they're an integral part. They're the beginning of the life cycle of the planet, so maybe relating them to youth and like infancy would be interesting. Then we've got these fellas who are, again, they're getting a little bit more alien looking, but I decided that even though initially it's quite aquatic, again, I wanted to move away from Wales. And I wanted to do something else. So I went towards something a bit more mammalian. So this is like a fun bear feeding creature. And then this is like a rat, dog, pig thing. I'm going to make it a hexapod. I'm pretty certain about that because I was talking with my good friend and colleague Jared Holden, who he's making a YouTube soon, so I'm going to plug that when it comes out. And he was talking to me about how something being hexapodal immediately makes it feel more alien, more distinct, which is true, right? Because we don't have mammals with 6 limbs, so let's get that. And then I went and I did these. So I took that dog, pig, rat, and I was thinking, what if its body twists and turns like a ferret? I was looking at videos of cats in zero gravity, and I just think that they are hilarious because they're trying to correct themselves so that they land on their feet, but they're not landing anywhere because there's no gravity. So they're just sort of spinning independently, their lower torso and their upper torso, and I like that idea that they sort of twist through the sky. It's a fun visual for me. So I was playing around with it a little bit there. And all 3 of these are just the same creature. I was thinking maybe it's getting a little bit too far away from whale. Again, this is the struggle that I've been having, and yeah, I'm sure it will continue. Is how close do I want it to be to a whale without it looking like a whale? So there we go. So here we've got some different versions where actually it's a lot more whale-like, but it has a series of vestigial little limbs that maybe waddle through the air. This one I quite like because it almost looks lazy. I also want this idea that it's held up, it's suspended in air somehow, but I want that to be inexplicable. Right, that's going to add on to the fact that they feel celestial, or they feel like spirits or angels or something like that, is actually, you know, because I could give them wings, or I could give them, here's a big air sac or something, but I think that would be too obvious. I think you'd go, oh, it floats because it's got an air sac. I want them to look like they're just, like they're not meant to be up there, they're floating, suspended. So this guy, I'm trying to get this sense of weight to him where actually the arms are almost trying to anchor him down, especially this ferrety set of back limbs are sort of weighing him down as well, right, and hanging, and it's almost like someone's, you know, pinched him and is just like holding him up from the top. I think that's really cool. We're also mixing again those mammalian features, like this is very mammalian, but then getting some kind of a big head on like that is very sort of whaley. Beluga whales I was looking at. I like beluga whales. This went back in the opposite direction, do something a bit more like a whale, but it's got very human limbs, so maybe this is a bit creepier, not necessarily as adorable or personable, but that's another element of Princess Mononoke that I really like, is actually the deity, the forest god that you see at the end. They're a bit weird, they're a bit creepy, but they're ultimately friendly, right? But visually a bit odd, a bit uncanny. So maybe something like that. You got these human arms that are just holding its own stomach in. It's going to swallow a star, and the star's going to be in there. God knows what's going to happen. We're almost done. I've been doing a little bit of sketching. So I took one of the ones I liked, and I thought about adding on that tail and actually making some more of these little odd vestigial limbs. So it's still got back legs, but they're back here. Maybe they're tiny little things. And actually it's beginning to look a bit like a tadpole, which I don't mind. You know, again, tadpoles I think people associate with being the start of a cycle, right? Where they eventually turn into frogs, etc, etc, etc. And so that's quite a nice little visual clue there. But maybe the way that I'm attaching them isn't working super well. I like this guy, but this just feels out of place, feels a bit odd. And then this, I really quite like. I don't know how these are going to work, but at the moment it feels like they are weighted to one point, and I really like that. It's almost comical, right? It's like when you pick up a dog or a puppy by the scruff of its neck or something, or when you see that in cartoons, and it's really sort of hanging there. There it is. Someone grabs it. So, I like that. I like the weight being distributed unevenly, like it's literally being hung in the air. So that's where I am. And it only took me 18 minutes to explain all of it. So yeah, wherever I go next, I don't know. I'm gonna draw and sketch and see what happens. So I think this is number 3. And any ideas you guys have? Obviously, I don't want you to decide the entire foundation of the universe that I'm trying to illustrate here. But if you do have a really cool idea, let it out, and we'll see if we can make it work. Look at these guys. Maybe we take this guy hanging upside down here. Let's just get a grayscale slider. And we play around with him. What if he looks like he's hanging even more? And maybe we make the head a little bit smaller. The other thing I'm thinking about a lot, or I need to start thinking about more, is scale. Like, how big exactly is this thing? Yeah, the evil nasty guy kind of does have his motivation, which is that these things, they keep eating the light source, right? So part of the society that I'm gonna have to design and illustrate is this idea that they're really limited in terms of the amount of daylight they have, and so they can't be very productive until a star appears. And then whenever a star does appear, they only have, like, I don't know, maybe a couple of days before one of these big stupid lovable fuzzballs comes over and eats the star that was keeping all the people busy. So that idea that actually it's all about production and maximizing production. Well, if I keep the star around, then everyone can work a little bit harder, and if everyone just worked a little bit harder, then we could be a bit more powerful, or whatever else, So that's the idea. Let's see. Let's just have a think. Yeah, he's an evil painter who needs good daylight to work. Could actually be. Paint his masterpiece. Yeah. I like the idea that maybe this thing's hung up by its tail. I think corporation, the vision that I have for the world, um, is that it's relatively primitive, and so corporations probably aren't going to exist. I think there are going to be loosely organized societies or factions, but the vibe is going to be very feudal. They're fishing. They don't have many concerns. I mean, maybe that's one of the evil guys' motivations, is actually that having a bit more light would enable them to organize more efficiently. I like the idea that maybe the head is a bit more serpentine, long. Maybe we play with that a little bit more. A stream that's not super early yet. Yeah, we're gonna be on till 2 a.m. Which I don't encourage that kind of sleeping habit, but I wanna get a bunch of this done. I feel like maybe the tale isn't working for me. It's not interesting enough visually. It doesn't suspend my belief that this thing is able to fly. Yeah, maybe they do find a way to refine the ambergris into like a lore. Yeah, what if they build like a false star? That could be really quite a challenge, but something that you wouldn't doubt that someone might do. Yeah, this thing, I wouldn't say fly. I think fly is the wrong word. It sort of floats. So it hovers, might be. Floats is the better word. Maybe it doesn't need this at all. Maybe it just looks like it's being held up from a point, but it doesn't actually need something holding it up. It could have some kind of crown or something back there. Yeah, I was thinking something a bit wispy, and ethereal. Let's see if we can do that. So if let's just condense these down a little bit. I think some of them are taking up a lot of space on my page. I like this idea though. I like that it's maybe a bit more serpentine. We get ideas of serpents swallowing big things, so it's useful if they're going to swallow stars, right? Could be a bit like a hot air balloon. But I don't think I want the mechanism by which it flies to be overly obvious. I think that would be a less than interesting solution. So let's copy this fella. And let's take this. Maybe we actually it's got an even weirder, longer neck. I like that. I think that's really cool. Maybe his gullet is sort of ribbed like a blue whale's stomach or head, I guess. It doesn't need to be mystical, yeah. Like you just can't believe what you're seeing. So there it is with its weird little bunched up body. Let's just erase that. In fact, maybe these two side ones are a little bit low. Oh, bye. I don't know if it requires a tail. I like that. That's almost like a snail shape, you know, and snails are seen as wise and old and slow moving. I've not played Bloodborne, unfortunately. What are you looking at? It's a whale that eats stars. It took me 20 minutes to explain at the start of the stream. Basically, this thing floats through the sky and it eats stars, but the stars they're not like a million miles away. They're like little local light and energy sources that get dropped into the atmosphere, and this thing comes and gobbles them up, and then once it's gobbled them up, it goes and spews out ambergris to feed all the local fish, I would guess. Give him a nubbin. What's a nubbin? Oh, like a little... Yeah, okay. Let's give him a nubbin. That's a good idea. I think we need to simplify this shape. There's a bit of a disconnect at the moment between this that looks very serpentine and this that doesn't seem to match at all. So let's maybe we change the head back. We could move the eyes. Somewhere else. Ooh. Maybe it doesn't have two little tiny eyes. Maybe it actually has. One big eye. Whoa. Or is the big eye over there on the front? Ooh, that's a bit weird. A bit like a caterpillar. Sky shrimp. It's not in space. It's in it is in atmosphere. Let's bring back our previous eyes, I think. But move them back down to where they were. Maybe we make them a little bit bigger. I guess the fact that it floats means that we can distribute its weight kind of weirdly. Like there's nothing saying that its neck shouldn't be able to get weirdly thin, you know. Other than that maybe it throws off the visuals a bit too much, but I don't know about that. Let's bring back that big head. Maybe we make it, yeah, just perfectly rounded to match the back of the thing. Maybe we get rid of that. We could get rid of these. They're like wattles from a pig, is what they're meant to be. But I don't know how well that would read. Yeah, I don't mind this. Like this one's tail, the big tadpoley tail. Well, the nice thing about this sort of a process is there's nothing stopping me mixing and matching. So we could try the tadpole's tail. I think it's this gullet that's making it feel a bit weird. Or that maybe the gullet should continue. It's getting a little bit visually confusing in there. So let's just clean that up. If that will. Yeah, I like that. I like that. I'm not sold on the head. Originally the head we had was something a bit more like that, but it came up and then it had two tusks. Okay, let's go with that for now. Let's just clean some of this up. Okay. Just kind of looks like it's eating a cigarette. Yeah, that's okay. Let's try a copy with that tail, shall we? So let's lie it a little bit flatter. In fact, we'll have it face this way. Let's take this tail. But maybe with the tail we do something weird with it where it like dips down the other side, you know. I quite like that. Let's combine them together and then play around with them. Is it too much of a jump from something fuzzy and mammalian to something with a big tail and this foot? Should it be bigger? Well, maybe. It is almost like a squirrel that's being hung up in an awkward position. Squirrel or a rat. And I like that. I want it to... in a sense, I want it to be grand, but I don't want it to be grand in, like, the way that Midjourney would generate something that you told it was grand. You know, I don't want to go, oh, generate majestic creature, and have this beautiful, perfect thing with, like, your typical golden hour sunlight splashing against the side of it. I want it to be, it's like this big thing, it's this big part of this world, but actually it's a little bit grotesque, it's a little bit, I guess uncanny would be the word, but I feel like the tail and the body are kind of the same size. Yeah, you're right, we could either go really small with the tail. I don't feel that works too well. We could do something like this with the tail, so that the creature overall is like a nice curve. Let's see if we can figure this out. I quite like that. And maybe the other thing that we do with the tail is... There we go. He has like a little mini one. It could be like a little crab claw, you know, like he's got two in opposing directions. Is that silly? Yeah, but I don't mind silly. I think that's too much. I think we're overcomplicating it. This connection here is unsatisfying. So we're going to take that, curve this up. Maybe we just change the profile of this altogether. Okay. Let's just try a few different things while we're here. What if it has a really long snout like an anteater? It makes it kind of look like it's got just a weird nose. You feel that small tail is unbalanced. I agree. I quite like that, but we're getting more stereotypically dragon-like. I'm not sure that I like that idea. Let's go with that. And we'll leave it like that for now. We can change it a little bit more afterwards. Okay, my next step is to think and talk to you guys. So in the meantime, I like to do this with a lot of the stuff I work on. Is I'll do a series of drawings on a grey background, and then I'll colour them in. And it's like, oh, it's not the most efficient way to colour them in. But I'm a firm believer that most of your time designing is thinking time, not doing time. And so some kind of a menial task like this, yeah, I could speed it up, but I'm not concentrating on it. This is just giving me a little bit of time to think about maybe the direction that I want to take this. So recapping, it's going a little bit serpentine, which is interesting. Don't mind serpentine. I like that we're retaining a lot of the mammal aesthetic when we're doing it, which is cool. Yeah, do design a D&D character. More design is more good, right? Let's see. It's not the most thrilling, but it is an 8-hour long stream, so there's going to be a lot of downtime in that where I am just coloring some. Maybe later on we can do some studies to just refresh ourselves, maybe do some figure drawing or something. Although last time I did a figure drawing I got kicked off Twitch. I know I'm not on Twitch currently, but I don't think that YouTube is going to take kindly to me drawing naked people. I guess if they're just little stick mannequins, it'll be okay, but I'll have to see. Look at this, we've got a Zen music. Just filling in this information. Your sketches come alive as you colour them in. How is everyone doing? All 4 of you. Have you had a good Friday? Are you excited for a weekend of fun? Maybe you're gonna play Fallout 4, like I inevitably am. Why do most artists prefer drawing or starting on grey and white backgrounds? I think traditionally in terms of painting, there's a benefit to it because you can go lighter. So if I already have this design, like I don't have to colour the whole thing in white. I could just do this, and all of a sudden it begins to be quite 3D, you know, rather than having to go darker. But you could go darker as well, right? So you get to use both dark and light to build up form. I think the other thing is it's just a bit more relaxing on the old eyes. There's a hesitation that comes with drawing on a pure white piece of paper, and psychologically maybe that carries over to a pure white canvas in Photoshop. So actually starting with something mid-tone removes that hesitation, because it's like, it's already got something on it, it's already got some value on it. A lot of the time when I'm painting, I'll import like a photo or something to paint on top of, so that it's already messed up. It's my job to clean it into something nice, which is far less stressful than taking something pristine and nice and turning else. Worst thing about your art is having to set up your drawing table. Did you just say people are drawing in PureRef? PureRef 2.0 has drawing in it? What? There is an appeal to Photoshop, I will say. It has everything I can want and need. The one thing that you could complain about Photoshop is the pricing, but luckily I get that from my work for free, so it's not too concerning. But I have tried Critter. I've been using a little bit of Critter. I've also been painting in Rebel for the past couple of days, and I've been enjoying a little bit of Rebel. My free trial is going to end though, but I hear that it goes on sale every year. Either that or the good folks at Rebel. I don't know if I qualify as a big enough YouTube channel to beg for a copy of Rebel, and I'll do a review of it. Yeah, I've done a few MS Paint paintings. Should I find one? What year would that have been? I'm guessing 2022. That's a bold guess. Very bold guess. It couldn't have been 2021. Surely not. Maybe it was. The problem is that my study folders are just, they're not named, they're just numbers. It's just a big list of numbers. And so chances are I'm never going to be able to find anything. Let's try 2021. Oh, it might actually be 2021. Oh no, is it still COVID in 20? COVID started in 2020 or 2019? Oh, how time passes. I'll find it later. I'll find it at some point. Oh, I just found it. Okay. Oh, is this entire document? Oh no, it's not. There you go. There's an MS Paint painting. I think it's a really fun program to use and challenge yourself with. Oh, you have one of those giant drawing tablets. I'm on a very small Intuos tablet that I've had for a while now. Very trusty. PureRef has drawing, GIF import, grouping images with color code, etc. What's my take on Critter? I really like Critter. I like its brush engine. There's one thing that I don't like about Critter, and it's, I feel like, and this is probably like slander or something, so don't tell the employees over at Critter Incorporated or whatever. But I feel like when they made their software as like it is like a free alternative to Photoshop. I think originally it was meant to be about motion graphics and stuff, but could be wrong on that. It feels like they made a lot of the keyboard shortcuts deliberately different to Photoshop, just to be different to Photoshop. So they're a little bit annoying. You can rebind them, but my problem is that I teach at the university, and Critter's on all the PCs there, and I want to be able to use it with its default settings, right? I want to learn the default. It's a bit like when I learned Blender, it gives you the option to rebind the keys to a different program that you already know, like Maya or 3ds Max. But I don't know, something feels, this is me being a maniac, something feels a little bit wrong about that. I wanna learn your software, and I wanna learn the buttons that you've told me to press. So that's my one and only problem, but it's a very, very small problem for such a wonderful program. I've heard animation in Critter is very good. I've heard good things about that. I've not tried it myself, but it would seem to be the case. Oh my god, it's the famous Jeffrey. Yeah, if you don't already keep folders for your images, please, 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 please do. Because otherwise you're going to look back at it in years, and you're going to go absolutely berserk. Yeah, the shortcuts of Critter are just so wacky and weird, for really no reason that I can understand. I don't know why you would choose some of those shortcuts. That they're not particularly intuitive. I think everyone knows that Alt is eyedropper in like every single other program. Everyone's agreed Alt is eyedropper, and Critter goes, no, it's not. It's Control. Oh, okay, right. Sure. So it's a little bit tricky. The other quite tricky thing is I'm required to use Photoshop for my job, right? I teach Photoshop, and so it almost feels counterproductive, or at least counterintuitive, for me to, in my own time, get used to one set of keyboard shortcuts and then have to teach another set of keyboard shortcuts. I've been jumping between two 3D programs recently, 3D Coat and ZBrush. It's a similar deal where it really confuses me, because I'm like, everything down to how you pan the camera is a different set of buttons, The more stuff like that you have, the less. It's just roadblocks in the way of you producing art, I think. I don't think they're the kind of roadblocks you want. Sometimes it can be good to have something that pushes back on you a little bit and gives you like a challenge when you're drawing or designing. But I don't think keyboard shortcuts are one of those things. I think learning keyboard shortcuts is only going to benefit you. So getting that out of the way is pretty cool. ZBrush has some of the most obnoxious controls of any program ever, and it's just insane, but I'm getting used to it. How am I looking forward to my vacation? My vacation is far away. It's about a month away. It's this time of year that the students all hand in, and the students get a lovely, nice vacation. And the poor old lecturers now have to mark all of it, so I'm about to be quite busy for a week and a half or 2 weeks. I've also got a driving theory test. Oh god. So yeah, it's gonna be busy. Will I do a demo of sculpting in 3D Coat? I can if people would want to watch that. It's tricky to know, because the audience that I've cultivated on YouTube, although small, is all about painting, and it's not just about painting. It's like a very specific genre of painting and a very specific vibe, which is, or people tell me that it's very relaxing and not, it's not necessarily about the information that goes into it, but more about just I don't know. It's like therapy, painting therapy. I don't know how many of the people that watch my stuff would be interested in something like 3D Coat, which is I actually think it's quite cheap. Last time I looked at the prices for 3D Coat, it wasn't particularly expensive. Yeah, you can customize a lot of ZBrush, so can't complain. That is exactly true. Yes, all students have been sent to the local mine here in the Midlands in England. Mining for, I guess, clay is the main thing that we have in the ground over here. But that's good because maybe they can make some sculptures with it. Figure that out. So to recap, before I go and get a drink, because I have been talking for an hour. You'd watch Jeffrey. Okay, I'll make a 3D Coat video. I'll make a 3D Coat vid. We got some photo bashes. We got sketches 1, sketches 2, sketches 3. Which are we liking? Let me number them, and then you guys can cast your vote. There you go. Vote for your favourite whale creature, and I'm just going to really quickly go and grab a drink, and I'll be back. Right, we've got 2 and 6. 2 is winning. Can't decide. 5 is very nice. And then 2. Okay, 2's in the lead. I agree. I like 2. Maybe we figure out what's going on with its tail. 3 or 5. Very unnerving picks, Jeffrey. Okay. Let's grab this one and then let's redraw it from a different angle and see how well it works. We'll also make this a new layer called Sketches 4, and we'll make it a different color. Do you know what? This should be yellow, and this should be orange. That's much more appealing. Okay, so that's our reference. And then we're gonna maybe try and figure this out from a different angle. What if 5 and 2 merged? Does 6 have really tiny wings? I can't remember where my numbers were. These aren't wings, they're meant to just be, I don't know, bony structures. Maybe there should be more of them along the spine or something. 5 and 2 merged. What would it be that you'd want merged? Like, what parts of 5 do you like compared with 2? Maybe put the eyes on the belly? Maybe. I think that would be getting a bit too alien or weird. Yeah, I want this definitely to read as a head. You want the tail from 5 on the body of 6. Okay, I tell you what. We'll bring that in as well, just as another ref. Keep that there. In fact, you don't even need the rest of the creature, do you? Just have them. Up, bonk, chunk. Let's start the album again. So every hour I'm going to have to remind myself to start that album. Because it's nice, relaxing, royalty-free music. Your focus is going to the empty area, this. Remember that when it's shaded and coloured and textured, there will probably be some visual interest there. Maybe some of these shapes here would continue to sort of make their way up the body, you know, like a strip that goes through it. In fact, I quite like that. I think that looks quite nice. So, let's just have a think, shall we? So if this is this thing's body, let's imagine these little feet are going to come out. The stomach is going to cut back in here. I do want it to have this large belly because it eats stars. It's got to have a big belly, right? Then we're going to imagine that that's one set of limbs. This is looking a little weird at the moment, but stay with me, gang. Stay with me. You know, here are we going to have some semblance of shoulder musculature? source on my current layer before we forget. Okay. I don't think this head is how I want it. Yeah, something like that. Then the eyes are going to come that way. It's looking quite nasty at the moment. Quite mean. Sort of nose shape is a bit uncanny. This is my... Yeah. What makes it look older? Older is wiser. Who are my current inspirations? Simon Lee. Shang Lam. I'm really enjoying Shang Lam's work at the moment. I say Simon Lee because I've been doing a bit of sculpting. Let me open up. I sculpted this yesterday with some oil-based clay. So this is an actual sculpture, not ZBrush. And I really had a lot of fun with it. I think it's such a different way of working. You know, there's a huge difference between conceptualizing this form in terms of the 2D space it occupies versus actually thinking about it in terms of 3D and overlap. All of this, like I think more concept artists should get into sculpting. More artists should get into sculpting. It is a Quetzalcoatl. More artists should get into sculpting, not because they ever want to make anything with the sculptures. Like, I'm not saying you should get into sculpting because you'll use it in your job, or because it will help you design. I just think it is a great tool to practice thinking about drawing. Like drawing in 3D spaces. That's what sculpting is. It's drawing in 3D space and understanding the 3D volume that something occupies. And so I think sculpting and then going back to drawing will help you so much. I think it's really important. So there you go. That's what I was doing. So I have been looking at a lot of Simon Lee. I'm hoping to sculpt this thing once I get a little bit of a clearer understanding of what I want. Yeah, it's got wires in. It's got one big wire going from the base of its skull down into it sort of turns around and makes just a loop where the rib cage is going to be, and then it's two separate wires for the wings. So they're there. I like the look of this. I think having this big flat area makes it very alien. You know, rather than giving it ears or something. In fact, I mean that immediately makes it look a lot more like a dragon, doesn't it? Maybe we'll play around with that afterwards. That's the kind of thing that again I might want to do in 3D. You know. So let's just think about. This part is falling. I almost want it to want these back limbs to be much smaller. Vestigial would be the right way of thinking about it. I've not taken any of some of these classes. No. His process isn't super secretive. He has a YouTube channel. You can just watch him sculpt live. He's very open about what he does. I mean, I feel that a lot of what he does is... it's a bit like watching someone like Craig Mullins paint. It's very intuitive. Although saying that, Craig Mullins is pretty technical with how he approaches his painting. There's not a lot of intuition. It's a lot of him going, right, then the lighting looks like this because of this, and therefore I will make this decision, which is really useful actually. Reminds you of one of those coffee drinking aliens. I don't think I've seen a coffee drinking alien. I'm not a coffee drinker. I'm better than all of you. I don't drink coffee. Now that tail is... we haven't tackled that yet. You know, what about this profile here? Maybe actually I want this to get a little bit thinner. Yeah, I think so. I want this head and neck to be, you know, because usually it's the inverse. Usually you have big shape, small shape. And actually I want it to be the inverse because the body isn't doing as much. I want it to be like primarily snake with little body behind it. And maybe that's something we need to play around with. Play around with the proportions of that. You know, what if its body comes up into this like lump? I really do like that actually. Okay, so you see, you can just find happy little accidents all over the shop. Let's imagine that this is another limb. Going back there. And let's just simplify this. I think it could be less round here. Oh, well that's one of the most fun parts. Let's give it a go. You know, I just feel like it doesn't have the same impact. It's like I want to go all out or not at all. Okay, tail. We're imagining that the tail connects from lower down. That's fine. And then we're imagining that it sort of drops off. And I imagine turns around like that. I'm imagining that it's kind of thin. Maybe more streamlined at the top and bumpy underneath. Could be. I certainly feel that maybe it should have a bigger cranium. And the neck should connect to the base of that cranium. What a funky guy. We could bring back something like those tusks, but maybe they're not necessarily. Another thing that we had before was like almost like a big mustache to the thing, which is kind of interesting. Let's figure this out actually. So maybe we have it come up, back down, and as it's going round, we get it to should it be fairy? You know, I think there's quite a lot of fair present on the initial sketches here that don't quite make it in. So maybe we work on that. Guess we need more fuzz and stuff back here. Up and into this, it's like this bit's a separate gullet maybe. Does it need some big nose? You know, maybe that's how it detects where the stars are or something. I think the other thing some of my earlier sketches had was like almost like radio antenna, which I quite like. So maybe we bring them back. Okay. Let's... Let's just duplicate it so it's a bit darker. We could try it with that separate tail. The Intuos is smooth, but I've used it for so long it's a little bit, I don't know, it's a little bit destroyed to be honest. I was hoping to get another one for cheap, but I'm waiting to hear back from a guy. Your nibs so that you have to buy more? And I wouldn't put it past Wacom as a company to do that. So maybe that's true. But I've had mine for years and years and years, and I can't remember the last time I changed the nib. Like, I never changed the nib at all. So I think it's okay. I also think maybe people are just pressing down too hard. I tend to draw very, very light, which is also the reason I think I haven't gotten any major carpal tunnel yet or anything. What do we think, guys? What do we think about this tail? Should we try this other one? Yeah, the intros does seem to be like a complete powerhouse. That's Isn't that fun? Does this maybe suggest that the profile of it's too wide? What if this back one is like... Whew. really weird. I should really stop flipping my canvas because I'm gonna give people some kind of epileptic fit one of these days. I don't know about this. I think it's too pronounced. What do we think in terms of tails? Do you like tail 1? Which is that? You know, admittedly tail 1 could do something like that. You know, it could do something a bit more interesting. Or tail 2, which like goes further out. Or neither. We can explore more options. This gives me time to mute myself and have a big slurp of my drink. Okay. I quite like tail 1. Let's definitely do something like that, and then we'll manually curve this round. In fact, maybe this one goes the opposite way, you know? It's got 2 tails. It hangs in the air like that. That could be interesting. do that. Let's get rid of our ref. Let's move it up. And then let's do a little bit more sketching. Maybe we take its head. And we just play around with that. What can we do? What does it look like when its mouth's open? If all it's doing is swallowing stars, it doesn't really need teeth. And actually having it be a creature that sort of can't defend itself, I think works pretty well narratively. Like, its only defense mechanism is that A, it's big, and B, it floats above everything else, so it doesn't need to quite like that sort of big scooping motion. And then, as it's inhaling, does that. So it can get larger. Does it shut its eyes? As it's about to eat something, like it's, you know, because the star's quite bright, and so it has to look at where it's positioned and then head towards it, eyes shut. That's an unpleasant shape. Let's rethink that. Like, I like this shape here, but it kind of implies that on this we'd have something like that, which I'm not opposed to at all, actually. You know, can it move its mouth even further down? Like, would that be crazy? Or would that be cool? And when it does that, do its cheeks blow out? Like that? So it's literally like a tube. But then maybe when its mouth closes up, they end up sort of on the outside, you know. Like loose, floppy, elastic bands. Yeah. Yeah, should we do that? See, so by designing one thing, we've led ourselves in the direction of another thing, which is really cool. Really, really cool. I should actually get. I think I have some elastic bands somewhere, but I should actually look at what they look like. All loose, you know, compared with. But even just the idea of it, like you know that this is tired, floppy. You know, if this was a character. You know, they're a very tired, floppy character, whereas this is like full of potential energy, and you could almost imagine this thing go and sort of shaking as it approaches this star. What if I add the triple tail thing? Yeah. Because it still look kind of like a bird, you know. Do I want it looking like a bird? Let's have a think. Both, like that. You could have both, yeah. Technically. I think maybe we're getting a little bit complex back there. Yeah, maybe a bit busy. Let's undo that. Let's just bring back tail one for now. We've got 8 hours. We can figure out a better solution to that tail, I think. Put tail 2 back up here. Let's move the whole thing that way, actually. Maybe tail 2 can go down here or something. What's 2? There's nothing on layer 2. I'm just going to merge all of these so that they're one. I'm going to rename this 2. Look at him go. Right, but as he's doing that, again, I think we want to get this comparison between it's all floppy and gangly to full of energy, full of power. So actually we're gonna make the neck a little bit thicker. And maybe this fair. You know, the fair. You could imagine that it's because of static or wind or anything else. But it's getting pretty crazy, is it? As it starts to eat this star. The main thing is, yes. could do a similar thing with these. So maybe on the default head, they're like they're just down, and then when it starts absorbing, it goes crazy. I like that. Do you know when, and I'm sorry to continuously talk about Studio Ghibli films, but I do very much enjoy them. Do you know when Totoro does a similar thing? Should we try and draw Totoro from... This is what Totoro looks like as far as I can remember. Is that even like remotely close? I swear his eyes were like... Where do his eyes go? No, I'm sure they're like that. But that just looks like a cat. Anyway, there's a bit in the film where like he's a very sleepy guy, and then at one point he like really opens his eyes. It looks like he's full of energy, and there's that. It's kind of creepy because he has like human teeth, doesn't he? But maybe we do that here. Maybe actually the sleepy version is this one. Like it floats through the air, looking very sleepy. And then when it's about to eat, it opens its eyes wide, like it's alert, like it's hunting. You know, does it like chase the star around? Maybe the star moves and it snakes through the air and tries to grab it. I don't know. It kind of makes sense to me that it would have its eyes closed while it grabs the star. Just because stars are bright. But maybe if we did a close-up on its eye, it would have a different thing. You know? Let's imagine that this is its eye. Does it actually have like multiple lids, so that's its real eye? But do you know what I mean? So there's like another layer of eyelid protecting it or something. Yeah, maybe the stars themselves are creatures or beings or something else. We can really think about all of this stuff. Like that line that I've chosen now. First of all, the creature's eye should be bigger. but then yeah, it's like an eyelid within an eyelid. But if you look from far away, it just looks like a big pupil. Does that work? Remember how big this creature's gonna be. The other quite nice thing about these things is they sort of look like the rods on like a V8 engine, and you get the idea that it's powering up. Thank you, Jeffrey. I'm excited for it. You know, do these front ones actually go forward? No, I think they should all go back. Okay, we're getting weird. But I like weird. I really like weird. Okay, if all of those are like splayed back there, and maybe we can even exaggerate that further. This is beginning to almost look like a Damascus goat. Which is funny. But like, you know, up here. These little hairs on end. You know, like when a dog sees a cat. That's almost the reaction that I want. Oh, there's just so much to design. So much to think about. That's the problem with something really expensive. We get this with our final year students. So on the course I work at, they those of you who aren't on the course, concept art course, we have a module in the third year where the students effectively get to like do whatever they want as a project, and it's very difficult to figure out the scope, like how big that project should be, because, well, everyone wants to make their own like crazy world, and if it's anything like this, well, okay, you can design the creature, but you could design the creature at different stages of its life, so that you've got at least like 2 creatures there. Well, what if you want to design sexual dimorphism in the creature, so there's 2 different versions, there's a male and female? Okay, well, you've already got 3 things you've got to design. Each of those things you might do hundreds of drawings for. But then actually, what do the stars look like that they're eating? And when they puke out the stars, what does that look like? And what kind of fish come and eat the puke? Are they regular fish, or are they specially evolved to filter feed the ambergris from the water? Okay, well the people are gonna come and hunt the fish. Okay, well, how do they hunt the fish? Depending on what the fish are like, do they use nets? Do they spear fish? What do the people look like? What sort of cultures are they based on? How have they adapted to survive, considering they only have light for limited periods of time? And they subsist on a sort of pescatarian-based diet. What do their houses look like? What materials are they made from? It just goes on and on and on. Yeah, the creature will have a child cycle. Shall I show you the document that I've made for this project actually? Give me a second. So, wham, I've got to bring it into Photoshop because that's the only thing that I'm streaming. Whoa! This is like the design document that I've given myself. So, I'll read it. Although I'm going to be making a whole YouTube video about this, so I'll read it again and you'll hear it a couple of times. So there are supposedly celestial entities which consume stars. That's this thing. Producing a kind of ambergris as excretion. This substance filters into the surrounding waters, introducing a wealth of nutrients that will attract other creatures that the humans of this world will hunt. When these entities eventually die, their lifespan is unknown, and this event is rarely witnessed. Their carcasses fall into the ocean, creating complex localized ecosystems that can last for centuries. The people of this world may begin to develop technologies that will allow them to hunt the entities, harvesting their carcasses themselves while having a negative impact on the surrounding ocean. So that's the sort of word I'm using for them at the moment, which is whale with a K at the start of it, a quail or a qual. But that's a very boring word, and I'm sure I will come up with a better one. Not much is known about these celestial entities. They appear to float in the air as easily as a whale in water. There are so few that it's believed that there are only several at any given time. They're temperamentally neutral, and will usually behave snootily, as though nothing but them exists. Their size varies depending on their age, but on average they're about 50 meters in length. There is no information on how they reproduce or come into being, and that's sort of... there might be variation that I will design in terms of the different ages of them. I think I definitely will. But actually how they are born, are there big eggs somewhere? Is it much like a tadpole? Is there like a metamorphic process to them where they begin as something else? I have no idea. And that's part of the mysticism, right? That's part of the reason that people believe that they're deities is because they just appear and no one knows where they come from. They appear to gain nutritional value from the consumption of stars. Elements of these that are undigestible are excreted. When a Kwaal reaches the end of its life, it slows over several weeks until it falls out of the sky. And I'm imagining that this is quite graphic, so I want to strike the balance right between it being like a lovable creature and it being a little bit uncanny. And a bit like Princess Mononoke again. Huge inspiration for me. When like the boar are being eaten by all the leech darkness things. I want this idea that it slows down and it falls out of the sky, but it's still alive. And so as its body returns to the ocean and things are eating it and consuming it, you know, it's not dead. Which sounds a bit horrific. I guess it would depend on how I illustrated it. Do these things even feel pain? I have no idea. There's something to figure out. but they fall out of the sky and then they're consumed. Stars, name unconfirmed, in this world literally hang in the sky. They emit low levels of light, but their other properties are unknown. Their intense stellar fusion reactions generate complex elements which are filtered by living organisms like Kwaal. Rather than one star at the centre of the solar system, in this world clusters of stars cycle throughout the atmosphere and provide sustenance on the planet. Ecologists have compared the appearance of stars to fish food dropped in a tank. As there is no primary stellar body, the world does not experience a normal orbital day-night cycle. Instead, light levels are affected by your distance from any given cluster of stars, or an algae surge, which I wrote into this brief and I had honestly forgotten about until now. Obviously, if the only form of light is stars, then just in terms of painting the thing, that's ridiculous. You're only going to have direct light sources. There would be no ambient light coming from anywhere if there were no stars around. So I thought maybe actually the ambient light would come from the ocean itself, and we could play around with that a little. Sometimes light time, not daytime, can last weeks. Other times they can begin and end in the space of a few hours. This affects the working cycles of human settlements, who rush to take advantage of light time. Sometime in the near future, they might look for a way to keep the lights on permanently. ... This is going to be a big thing to think about and design. Scavengers. There are many life forms which subsist on the ambergris of Kwaal. Primarily, there are streams of filter feeders which flock to diffusion sites in huge numbers to harvest what nutrients they can. These in turn attract other predators which seek to harvest these newly packaged nutrients for themselves. Amongst those are humans who have learned to anticipate when a Kwaal might retch, following them to a suitable fishing ground. When Kwaal fall occurs, there are widespread feeding frenzies for the first few days, after which the more difficult to digest parts of the Kwaal are broken down by other beings who will fill that ecological niche. So, it's it's quite an expansive world. There's a lot for me to think about, and I don't know if my brain is big enough to think about it all. So even just this whale dude, this Kwaal, he's gonna take up a lot of time. But I'm not in a rush, which is the nice thing. Like, I'm happy to just doodle away on this every now and again. Maybe there's opportunity for me to do streams a little bit more regularly if people enjoy watching me draw. Previously, a lot of my streams have just been studies, and I don't feel that those are particularly entertaining to watch. I don't think they are. So I don't know if anyone else would, but maybe this is a little bit more fruitful. Where's this eye gonna go? I don't know. Should we shove it back here? Collection of goodies. Let's get rid of this as well. This is good. This is like, what is the thing on a turkey's head called? Do you know? Oh, quick. Let's restart the music before it starts playing bells. You know the thing on a turkey's head. So that's a turkey's beak. It looks a bit like this. And then it's got this thing that sometimes it's like up, and then other times it like flops onto the beak and down. That has a word for it, I'm sure. See, this is just how good my visual library is, that I can draw whatever this thing is perfectly. I don't know what it is. A wattle? Is that a wattle? Maybe it's the same word. Let me Google it. Thing on turkey's head. It's a snood. Apparently, it's a snood. Maybe these things are a bit like snoods, and they sort of fall down and drape over the tip of the nose. Until the moment is right, and then they become erect, I suppose. Let's see. We'll we'll keep our turkey sketch. What else do turkeys have like? Turkeys have all sorts of stuff going on. They're very strange. There you go, there's our turkey friend. God. Bonk. Chunk. I don't know, maybe that's obvious without the turkey sketch. We'll keep him anyway. Maybe he can be a little bit smaller. And he can sit there. Okay, we're gonna color these two guys in, and then I'm gonna have a short little intermission break. I'm just gonna leave the stream running, so I don't restart it and send everyone a bunch of notifications. Although, I don't know, maybe that'd be a good idea, get more people in, but I don't know. Color them in. This is the most fun bit. It's the most rewarding bit. You've done the drawings. Now you get to try not to fall asleep and just color in. It's lazy. It's sleepy. I've got to be careful because I'm very sleepy. I'm tired. I'm ill. And I would love to go to bed, but it's 8 o'clock and I should try and stay up a little bit later, I think. I think I really need to do a page where we just resolve maybe what that tail looks like. Draw this again from another angle. Figure out that part of it. Yeah, I'm up at about 5:30, which is why I'm so sleepy. But 5:30 is not. I get complained at whenever I stream at 5:30. It's not an appropriate time for anyone really, because it's kind of really late at night for the Americans, stupidly early in the morning for the British people. So it's a lose-lose for everyone. Sleeping habits are just one of those important things, aren't they? This guy doesn't really have a resolved edge to him, so we'll leave that be. It's really weird. You know, it's kind of rodent-esque, isn't it? But there's a little bit of snake and a little bit of God knows what else. Maybe I should stop the stream because I want to export these as MP4s, and if they run too long, that's going to be very annoying. Because I want to grab the time lapses for the YouTube video. So actually, let's just grab this yellow. So actually, yeah, I will end it. And do you know what? We'll take Mr. Turkey and we'll put him on a separate layer that's hidden. There's a little Easter egg. Bye bye. So. He's gotta be hidden. Hello, Fate with Duck. I'm just about to end the stream. It's been going for about 2 hours and 20 minutes, which is as long as I'd like to export the video. So I'm gonna stop it there. But I'll come back tomorrow. I think I'm enjoying designing and getting other people's input, and it's forcing me to come up with more interesting ideas that I like more. So yeah, we'll carry on with this. So what did we do today? We did some of these. Some of them are quite fun, especially in terms of the head shape, but I feel like maybe it's a bit too snake-like, or just a bit too silly. But maybe that bulbous head shape would work as well. I don't know, at a certain point we just have to commit to something, and I quite like this. I think this view maybe no longer looks similar enough to this, but I'll let you decide that, gang. But yeah, thanks for joining the stream if you did. And if you want to see all those drawings and you've only just joined, it automatically gets uploaded to YouTube, so you can